Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is another Ludini Rock and Roll Circus Musicians Mastermind call. We've got the roundtable discussion today with myself, Kerry, J.K., and Joe Freeman. Last week's show had was like somebody opening a fire hose and just blasting you with ideas for what you can do when you release a record and you want to send it out and you want to create a special personal experience for your audience. And this is something that comes Kerry, I believe, is like thinking about these things because, he's got a side business with, jewelry and things like that. But Joe and I, coming from the sort of Dan Kennedy, Russell Brunson sort of world, this has been something that's been going on a long time. It's very interesting how you can pick up ideas from other industries, and if you aren't looking at more general marketing literature out there or educational courses, if you don't know who Dan Kennedy or Russell Brunson or these people are, it would behoove you to, when you're done listening to this podcast, to maybe jump on YouTube, because there's tons of Gary Vaynerchuk, there's tons of great totally free information that you can get to get ideas on what you could do next, the action you could take next. We are, as Leah is, I believe, famous for saying, we are in the wild west of the music industry right now, where if you can make it work, you can make it work. It's like, it's total, all bets are off. Whatever you want to do, as long as it works for you, it works. So a great way to get these ideas together and to come up with unique ways of doing things, to create unique experiences for your fans, is to educate yourself on what's out there, not only in your own industry, but in other industries. This is something that I've been doing for many years. I know Joe, being in marketing, works with a lot of different people in different industries. So he's coming up with different ideas all the time. So that's going to be, we're going to sort of follow up on our talk from last week with maybe a few more of these ideas of things that you could do that come from other resources. And I think Joe probably has some ideas for where you guys could go, people you could look up on YouTube, etc., to get some more of these ideas. So welcome, Joe, Kerry. How you guys doing today?
Oh, good.
First of all, we had a couple of we made a couple little modifications to the little CD jacket, the CD. What is that called, Kerry? CD folder?
I don't know, what do we call these things? I've got one right here. Another one of my work in progress ones. I suppose cases, booklets, wallets. I think a CD wallet is what I called the file.
CD wallet.
Yeah, I see. There's the little tabs we mentioned. That's something I didn't do last time.
So
we
put some tabs on it. What do you mean? Like you folded over some tabs on the corner?
Yeah, that's right. Just so that it's fastened on one side. But the main thing to get from that is you've got two pockets, and you can put your CD in one, and in the other one you can put another CD or extra booklets or anything else that you want there. But the idea is it's something then that is completely eco-friendly because there's no plastic there, except for the disc itself, but nothing you can do about that. You've got, 4 panels that you can decorate, including these 2 little ones down here. And then in there, you can put your little booklet. You can have something that folds onto a poster. It's very versatile. And it comes out an inkjet printer, so you just do it from home.
Yeah. Speaking of decorating, did you decorate hold that back up again? I thought I saw something. Did you decorate the actual Yeah. So not only did you decorate the little bottom tabs, you actually put some cool stuff on the inside of the.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's just a card from the CD before, but I just use that as an example.
But you could use that space in there. I mean, as long as you didn't junk it up, like you made it look like you were just. I mean, maybe you could. Maybe you write. Yeah. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff. You could write around the edge. And make it like, where they sort of have to turn it to look at it. I mean, it's completely up to your imagination. I mean, one of the things Joe Freeman he messaged me after the call last week and said he had a great idea. Now, what was your idea about what to include with that, Joe?
Okay, so you said, sorry, I just got kicked off, but Kerry, you said you added the tabs and everything. So one of the
Yeah.
things I said that you could add is a thumb drive. So
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people right now, they have computers that the CD won't play in.
Mm.
So, they may be able to put it in their Xbox and may be able to put it in their car. But if you put it on a thumb drive, then they can easily transfer it over to an MP3 player, their computer, wherever they want to in order to listen to it, even their phone. Ultimately, you want to get it somewhere that they like to listen on a regular basis. That's very easy to play. And I found it difficult whenever I would order something that came in CD. And I like to listen to everything either on my computer or on my phone. And I couldn't do that.
Was the thumb? Does it now? Pardon my my lack of my ignorance here about technology. Is it possible to plug a thumb drive into the mobile device?
You put it on your computer and then transfer it into your phone.
Is there any easier way? Because the everybody is walking around like this. I'm holding up my cell phone to everybody. This is everything. Like
they can
everything
download
is
it
here. Like I mean, absolutely everything. I listen to all my Audible books on here. I listen to all my music on here. I do listen to music on the computer or on the. I actually listen to music on the TV as well too. I'll play music using my television with Spotify or YouTube. But is there what is because everybody's walking around with this thing in their pocket and they can listen to your music anytime. Now, yes, they could go to Spotify, but is there a way to make that easy? Because one of the things that we did when we were sending out, and Joe and you and I should revisit this too. When we were sending out the tripwire, not the tripwire, whatever you want to call it, to get the email address by giving people a free download, was one of the things we discovered was people would get back to me and say, well, how do I get this on my phone? I don't understand. I can't get it into my iTunes, or I can't, they're so is there an easy way to communicate with them about how to get that thing on their mobile device? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if it was me, and Kerry, you can back me up, or if you have any ideas, I would just create a landing page and give them the availability to click a download button, because you can bring up the thing on your phone and then click download, and it should automatically download to your phone as a MP3 or something like that. I'm not real big on music, but that's how that should work, or at least I'll find a way to make that work. That's
definitely private link. Something Bandcamp will give you download codes. And if you sell your CD through Bandcamp, a download code is included that way. So if they buy your CD through Bandcamp,
I think what Kerry was saying is if you buy your CD through Bandcamp, they give you a download code. I remember, excuse me, I'm a little froggy today. That in the early 2000s, one thing that was really popular, I went to shows and people would hand out download cards, and it would have some kind of code on it. And does anybody, Joe, maybe you can tell me, Kerry is having a little technical difficulties. We use Zoom, guys, and it's being weird today. Do people still use QR codes? I mean, could you put a QR code on there and tell them, oh, just hold your phone up to the QR code and all will be right? Is that something that could be done?
So I've heard two different stories on that, right? So you can create a QR code, and the QR code can be built to download or go to any website that you want it to go to. But for the most part, in America, I don't think a lot of people are using the QR code. Like, they don't know how to, what apps to pull up, or it's not common for people to have the apps read the QR code and then use it. Okay. Now, some other countries, it's very common. QR codes were a huge thing over in China and Malaysia, but you can do it. You'd have to test it. It is a nice little thing because you can even do augmented reality and stuff like that. But you're getting pretty technical once you start doing that.
Ooh, augmented reality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just can you give me a quick All right, Kerry's back. Kerry's going mobile.
I've had to do that, Matt. Internet suddenly died.
Zoom's being weird. Anyways, Okay, I don't want to get off. I don't want to miss this because you have to give us a definition if you can. What is augmented reality, Joe?
Okay, I don't want to give the wrong definition, but what I mean is that whenever you can read a QR code, or there's apps out there that you can actually read the images on a CD or a magazine or so forth, and you don't actually need a QR code. It's the actual magazine itself, and that image either comes alive, or should play some kind of animation. I mean, then to me that's augmented reality. So there's a lot of different things you can do if you get a right hold of the right software and the right services.
Okay, so we are talking about a situation where somebody needs to turn their speakers down because I'm being echoed. But we're talking about a situation where, or technology where you can actually maybe you put an image on there. So say you don't want to, mess up the feng shui of your packaging, and you don't want to have a QR code or something like that on there. You could have some kind of image with something embedded in it that the cell phone would read, and then would open you up to maybe some sort of other virtual experience that you could have online, either downloading the music directly to your iTunes or something like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So once again, you need an app or something to read that image. There's software out there that'll do that for you. So really, I wouldn't do this for like the everyday person unless you're doing like a YouTube video or something where your audience is going to go and like say, okay, I got to download an app, and then they're going to take and scan that app over top of the print piece. And then that print piece is going to come to life.
Well, maybe what we could do is sort of investigate, see if there's anything that comes with the latest devices. What kind of mobile device do you have, Joe?
I have an Android.
You have an Android. Kerry, what kind of mobile device do you have?
I'm on Android too.
Okay.
I also use Apple as well.
I have a Galaxy Note Android. And I think might be worth it to investigate the apps that already come with it to see if there is anything that will do that, because now we're asking people to take an additional step that might be confusing.
But if they're, if they're part of your dream, your inner circle, part of your like raving fan base, and you ask them to do that, and you show that it's going to be something cool, or they're going to get a benefit out of doing it, or they're going to get a secret message, or whatever the case is, they'll be more willing to download that app and check it out than if they're just your everyday person. Like you don't normally design augmented reality unless you think it's going to create a buzz somehow for your cold audience. Even your warm audience is questionable. It's really your raving fans that you would do something like that for.
Okay, so somebody who has spent $30 or $49 on your mega release with all the cool stuff that we're sending out, including additional CD, including a thumb drive, including the little unique one-of-a-kind friendship bracelet, and all the lyrics and the whole thing. That might be somebody who you put a note in there saying, go to this link to get, how to get an augmented reality experience, or, we might not call it that. So those are the kind of people, since they've spent that kind of buckage with you, are probably going to be way more likely to say, yeah, I'll download an app. I want to know what this is.
And like so something you just said kind of hit a nerve. So if I was going to do augmented reality, I wouldn't do that unless I had, a higher per ticket price that I was trying to sell after that package.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can use something in music as an example, but like Kerry's jewelry, if he's selling a lower item jewelry piece, and then he knows he has like a earring, necklace, and bracelet set that he's really trying to get people to buy for the holidays, he may want to do it if he already has an email list of X amount of people who bought something lower end. They've already purchased something, say at 50, 20 to $50. Now he's trying to get them to purchase the $200 item. But if I'm doing music, unless I already have a recording or something that I created, I'm not going to invest all the revenue to get an animation made if my audience is lower end. Not lower end, but lower numbers for now.
Yeah.
So what I would do, though, is you can easily on the inside of that cover, like you just said, Lou, is you could put a little letter and then put a little link. And on that little link can go to a web page, either a landing page or it could go to anything. It could go to a YouTube video. That then gives them a similar experience.
You'd have to write cool copy for it.
You would.
And, you could call
and you wouldn't want it to be salesy. You'd want to make sure it was something that gave them a benefit, something that they really wanted to see.
Yeah. Also, this could be something that gets included with one of your levels on your, VIP programs. I was going to say, it does not have to be Patreon. But whatever your VIP
other programs are available,
right? There's many, and you could just do one yourself as well. Kerry and I have experimented both ways with this as well, where you could have that. It could be a secret song that they can't get anywhere else, like a secret video performance. You could do something. This could be very simple, and they wouldn't need an app for this. You can create private as well as unlisted YouTube videos that people can go to, and this is not something that anybody else can get. They're not shareable, and so you don't have to worry about it getting out all over the internet. At this level, it's unlikely that's going to happen. Anyways, so you could create a private or unlisted YouTube video. Put the link to that in. You could put the link to that in the thumb drive when they pop it in their computer or whatever. One of the options is to click that link and be taken to some awesome thing where maybe you release every week. You do release a cover song, fully produced, sounds awesome. But that's not it would be the kind of stuff, Kerry and I know this, that's expensive to release. Even on Spotify or on Apple Music, it's very expensive to get licensing and stuff like that. Even if you're an independent artist, because say it does take off and people start downloading it like crazy, that's cool. But you're going to be going back to the Harry Fox agency and paying a lot of money for a popular rock tune or even a rock tune that isn't even all that popular or a pop tune or whatever that you do a remake of. So this is a great way. I know John Oszaka has a version of Jesse's Girl that I have not heard it yet, that everybody says is really, really killer. He does it in that Americana alt country kind of sound that he does. And, but he says it's even at his level, he says he doesn't feel like he feels like it's too expensive to release it. He can't release it. So what he did was created a private, thing where people go to a specific page or whatever, and they can download this directly from him. So that is something that you could do as a musician. Is if you like doing stuff like that. I mean, maybe that isn't your thing, but that's just an idea of something you could do. Maybe you have a message that goes along with your music. So today everybody is like Leah's got the whole I almost said Guns N' Roses, Game of Thrones thing going on and everything. So maybe she has some kind of cool animation or something that you can only get that way. So there's a lot of different, it doesn't have to be a song. It could be, maybe it's a talk on something, maybe you give like a 3 to 5 minute talking head message, about what's going on in your life and people like that. I mean, you have to sort of experiment.
I mean, there's a couple of things that YouTubers do all the time, and they're sort of becoming the model, especially since there's people who wound up making a living on YouTube with channels, which became very, very precarious when YouTube started messing about with the monetization. So what they ended up doing, most of them, was they took their livelihood away from YouTube monetization, although they still use that, but they couldn't rely on it anymore. So they started really going to town on things like Patreon. And one of the ways they do that, one of the ones that really became in, was like giving backers of a certain level influence on what they do. Like if they're doing reviews, they'll say, then you get to choose what it is I review next if you're in my Patreon stuff. And these are things that would normally have just been ordinary feedback, but then it becomes part of it's sort of like you buy that access that people want to feel like they're important in there. But I've seen a lot of YouTube channels really go to town on the Patreon model ever since the monetization thing became a thing.
You could do things like suggest song topic, song titles. Allow people to do something like that. And if I use your song title, I'll send you a special edition T-shirt.
I'm
not gonna give you songwriting credit. So those are all.
You've got to find out when this sort of thing gets in the way of your own artistry as well. Sometimes
I know, and yeah, I know, and that's the same thing. Like, because Joe and I have talked a little bit about this, because the podcast for me has become a thing in and of itself, and it's not supposed to be. The podcast is supposed to be an augmented situation for me as a musician, but it became a thing in of itself and distracted me from making music for a very, very, very long time. So now I'm got my head right again. So that's something you guys need to be aware of, no matter what you're doing, to to network with your fans. Is Amanda Palmer, even though she spends hours a day on Twitter, still produces music. So just be careful with, that these things don't become, because then you lose who you really are, and ultimately you're going to lose fans. Because if you're not putting out, Kerry and I've talked about this many times, you can't be a musician who doesn't put out music.
What have you done lately?
Yeah. You have to have, in today's world, there's a kind of an idea that, do something. You don't necessarily have to release a full album every 6 months. We talked about that. Go back. We had a really great talk on that a few weeks ago. But you want to be careful with any of these things. Yeah, there's a sweet what you're doing.
There's a sweet spot. You can do too much and you can do too little. Like I say about doing too much. We did the old Dan Hicks song. How can I miss you if you won't go away? Leah talks about having seasons. So she'll have a writing season and a recording one, then she'll have a 1 minute, and that's just the old industry model. That's where you tour something and then go in the studio, so that season idea is very old. In fact, that's another thing. Most of the things we talk about, even if it's things that feels like it's a really new idea with new technology and the internet, and the bare principles haven't changed in decades. It's just how they're applied.
Right.
Even what we were saying about the augmented and something extra there, all of that was in the 90s when CDs were coming out and we were able to put data on CDs. That's when they would have had a special website there. Sometimes there are YouTube videos now about people who find these sites still active and laugh at how dated they are. But the point is, it was something that was being done.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
And I felt like in the 90s too, there weren't enough artists taking advantage of that. We talked about that when I released my album with my band in the 90s, and we did not follow up on it. It was I remember having actually several conversations with it, because our drummer was a web designer, and he was like, "This is what we should be doing," because you tell people, you just put a little note, put the CD in your computer for additional whatever. Yeah. And we just didn't, in the fray of trying to get the thing done and get it out, we just missed doing that. And that it's a missed opportunity if you're not creating something like that. And you got to understand, like, the famous artists very rarely are doing something like that. Some of them are. Maybe, but you have the opportunity to make it more personal and more special. Silence.
I guess in some of the ways. So when I'm talking to a coach, I tend to tell the coach, look, you have to concentrate on building your audience and being out in front of people and controlling your message. You know what I mean? You can always find someone to do the technical aspects of things. You can always find someone to help you do the artistic parts of things that you don't know, but you have to take ownership of your audience, and you have to take ownership of the new ideas, because you know your market. You know what I mean? You're out there, you're living it. You're the person creating. It's your passion. You know what I mean? So whenever you get big enough to start having other people, and you want to do this augmented reality and websites and this and that and the other thing, if you don't have a band member on your team to do it, that's when you start reaching out to other people and you start making deals. And sometimes those deals don't always have to be monetary. Sometimes those deals, just your creatives, think outside the box. You know what I mean?
Trade favors.
Yeah. You never know what that other person may be interested. They may even be someone who's one of your raving fans and just wants to help you. Who knows? So it doesn't hurt to just say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. And what do you guys think? Is it something you would even want for your inner circle people? And then someone may say, hey, you know what? I actually am an animator, and I would love to actually get my name out there. If I work with you to build the animation, will you actually give me some credit, or whatever the case may be? I had a coach I was working with not even a month ago. I still work with her all the time. And I said, you really need to transfer your coaching over into a journey. Kind of think of it as a board game. And then I walked away.
Ooh, board game.
And then she came back to me, and here one of her employees, her husband is an actual programmer and is building the game now. And we had no clue that was even a possibility, that we had anyone in our circle that was able to do this thing. So don't be afraid to share your ideas with the people around you.
There is that. Actually, it's funny to mention, because what part of my research before, there are actually websites you can go to that will print on demand everything you need for your board game. All the pieces.
Oh, really?
You can assemble it all online and then order how many copies of it you want. I found this is when we were searching this a couple of years ago. We found this. I just did a quick Google again, and straight away I've seen 3 different sites offering it on the top page. So the fact is that there's very few things now that if you've got something you want to get made on the internet, there is a company somewhere that will do it for you.
The one thing you got to be aware of, though, with print on demand versus mass production of things. So as you build an audience, you're going to build an audience of 500, 1,000. You're going to try collecting them somewhere on a list to make sure that you know who your raving fans are. So as you build that audience, when you first come out with a board game or a book or a magazine or a catalog, whatever it is, and you want to print that on demand, the prices are dropping over the last few years. I worked with a commercial printer, so at one time when we had to turn on the digital printer and actually get everything going, the prices were really, really high. They are dropping, but they're still higher than if you mass produced.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you have an idea of what that cost is going to be, and make sure that you can build the value in your offer to your ideal audience, to your raving fans, to make sure that they want it and then that they'll buy it.
Test. That's the value of creating something like a Facebook group around around your music. That's the benefit of that, because you can put stuff up there. I've gotten so many ideas, and it has really shaped a lot of what I do. Just throwing a simple poll up in there. You don't poll the entire internet. You don't poll your entire Instagram followers or Twitter followers. You get the people that are most closest to you, and those most closest people could be a number in thousands. They could be a couple thousand or so, to chime in with, and you make it easy for them. Don't say, hey, what do you guys think? You have to say, I'm considering A, B, C, and D. Make it real. Make it real simple. On Facebook is very easy to do. Facebook has an automatic thing. One of the type of posts you can make is a poll, and you can, and some of the other things you can do with that is allow people to put their own things in, but a lot of people, if they will comment as well, so might check B, but then they might leave a comment that gives you some deeper insight. So those things are really valuable, and people love them. Because it makes them feel like they are part of the decision-making process with you, even though it's very, very soft. It's not like they're sitting in the room with you and you're like literally in business together or anything like that. But people love that. I think everybody loves that sort of like, you know, you got to think about like your favorite authors or your favorite musicians. If they had some space where you could give input on what they did next, I mean, you would eat that up. Your favorite television shows, you know, beyond like a letter writing campaign or something like that, but an actual space where the artist gives you a chance to say, I'm thinking about doing these one or two of these 4 or 5 things. What do you guys think? And it just makes it very easy for people to participate in that.
There's something else I'd like to sort of throw out there now, and this is like on the flip side of all this, because there's a lot of very positive ideas there, and a lot of very positive stuff. And now I want to talk about the pitfalls. And in particular, there's 2 in particular. One of them, I can't remember who said it, but it's that like goodwill gestures have a way of becoming expected. So after a while, they stop being goodwill gestures, and they become things that you can't stop doing without pissing people off. And it just becomes part of your basic things. So then you've either got to be even more generous or come up with some ways. So after you can start off like getting people thinking really positively about you, but then after a while they'll expect that and then just get really negative if you don't do it. So there's that. There's the other thing is that it's human nature to find loopholes and like to come up a little bit ahead of everyone else. Like one thing we've found is discount codes. And we're very careful about the way we did discount codes. And we did it for loyal customers and people that we wanted to reward for one thing or another. Those discount codes got passed around on day one and put out on little websites that are just for discount codes. And we just found so many people using these discount codes in the way they weren't meant to be. And it's a really hard thing to control. So we're starting to get to the point now where they are actually personalised. So if they do get passed around, we know who sent them out. I probably won't actually do anything to that person except stop giving them more discount codes. but the point is, like, people will take advantage of you if you let them.
Also, you can allow these types of things to run you around. So where that becomes like a giant part of your day, just like we mentioned a little bit earlier about where, you know, you end up doing so much marketing and stuff like that you don't do your music. And when you stop doing your music, then the whole thing falls apart. So you and Carlos, this is something that Carlos Castillo, Joe, you're probably not familiar with Carlos. Carlos has has his own musician sort of mastermind groups on Facebook, and I've met Carlos. I've had him on my podcast. Good guy. And one of the things that they talk about, it is a big topic of discussion in his groups, is this idea that getting so caught up in getting run around with this type of stuff. How much time do you spend on Facebook? How much time do you spend on Twitter? How do you negotiate all of this so that, you still make music? Because you'll stop. It's like, and I fell right into it. I've fallen into it over and over and over, where I stopped making music because I get so caught up. I let the tail kind of wag the dog. And it takes mental discipline. And it also, I think, takes this idea that I have not explored that much, and we could do a call on it at some point, where you actually take what it is you're doing to make the music and make that the content. Now, some people are really afraid of that. Kerry doesn't like to do anything that doesn't show the absolute kind of like, it's done, it kicks ass, look how awesome it is. There's different ways of doing that, but we could talk, but I just want to kind of issue that again, because it is so easy to fall into, especially if you start listening to us and you listen to John Ojaka, and maybe you take our advice and you listen to Russell Brunson and Dan Kennedy and people like that, and you get all excited about marketing, and then you end up doing that all the time, and then you go like, well, wait a minute, I don't have anything to market because I spent all my time doing marketing. So just it's like it is finding a balance with that. Anything else, you guys? We're coming up on about 30 minutes here. Any other, because we're kind of being a little loose today. It's a holiday weekend here in the United States. Any other sort of ideas you guys want to touch on before we wrap up today's call?
I think I'm pretty. I think we're about there.
We're about there.
How do you feel, Joe?
All right, cool. Joe, anything you want to add before we go?
No, just to wrap up, you got to stay in your lane of passion. Don't trade the passion for the glory. Taking whatever you're really, 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 really good at, what your expertise is, what you are going to share with the world, and depending on your financial status, then get other people who are really good at the things you're not to help you. And if you're working your way up to that point, then just think outside the box and look for ways that others can participate in what you're doing. And then that may open you up for more time and more availability to then once again get back into your lane of passion.
Maybe we could do a call on, 10 things that you can do right now for free that don't take a lot of money, that don't take a lot of time to, grow your fan base. Maybe we can do a future call on that. Joe, plug your business and your website before we wrap up.
Okay. So, my business is orangetreemarketing.com, and I help coaches and authors and experts share what they have to share with their audience by creating automated business systems, funnels, stuff like that, and marketing in order to go ahead and let them be able to help people. If you guys have any any topics you want to hear about in these calls, make sure in the comments you share what whatever your hardship is, whatever you're thinking about, whatever's going on. We do have someone to watch that. And so from week to week, you just heard us talking about how, we're looking for things to talk about. Well, we want to hear from you. Let us know what you need help with.
You can always shoot an email to Lou at LouLombardiMusic.com as well. Our website's LouDiniRockandRollCircus.com. It's where all the podcasts are. Joe is helping me get that website a little bit more organized. Kerry's been a big help with that as well, too. And Kerry, your website, how do people find you again?
That's kjkmusic.co.uk, and everything I do sort of comes from there.
Okay, there you are, guys. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll catch you all on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus Musicians Mastermind.